Data Voyagers.
Hello, Data Voyagers. I am Igor Alcantara. Oi, pessoal. And as always, I'm joined by my brilliant co-host and friend, Angelika Klidas. Angelika, as always, thanks for being
Hey
here.
guys. Yeah, hey Igor. I'm great to be here again. So hoi allemaal. Welkom bij de podcast.
Okay, I understand the podcast, and I guess you're welcome. Yeah, my Dutch is like non-existent. So today's episode is a special one, and we dive into the pulse of the analytics and AI market with someone who has a unique global perspective. Angelika, would you do the honors and introduce our guest?
Oh yeah, I'm super happy that today we are joined by Dan Sommer, Senior Director, Global Head of Marketing and Market Intelligence. I should say it correctly from Qlik. Uh, Mark, I always love to talk to you about vision, about the trends that we see. So I'm super happy that you're here. Welcome.
Thank you. It's a real honor to be on this podcast. I've listened to previous episodes, and we just saw each other a few weeks ago. You guys are always interesting to speak with. So I look forward to it.
Thank you.
Very good. So we're about to start, but just before we start, just a few reminders. I'll ask you our listeners to subscribe to the Data Voyages podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, either Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Overcast. Just make sure you subscribe to our podcast so you'll be notified when we get new episodes available. And while there, if you like our content, please give us 5 stars. That helps a lot, like spreading the word to more and more listeners. Follow our page on LinkedIn, so you can go to LinkedIn and find Data Voyages, and visit our website where you can also find the blog posts we have, all the video content, the podcast, and our online store with some pretty cool t-shirts, mouse pads, stickers, and more. So you can go to datavoyages.net and support us in any way you can. You can share our content, you can like, comment, and let's just help to get more people aware of the things we do. And talking about support, let's hear a quick word from our sponsor, IPC Global.
Your organization has data, but can you trust it? With IPC Global and Qlik, data quality becomes your competitive advantage. We connect, cleanse, and validate your data, so analytics and AI deliver real results. From smarter decisions to faster outcomes, Qlik powers your business objectives with confidence. IPC Global, trusted data, intelligent insights, limitless possibilities. Visit ipc-global.com, where data works smarter.
All right. So again, thanks, Guy, for doing this. And Angelika, you want to get started?
Yeah, sure. We have some intriguing questions, I think. So the first one down that I have is to get started. How do you see Qlik's position evolving as analytics merges with AI, automation, and decision intelligence?
Whoa, you start with the easy question, don't you?
No, no,
No,
no.
no. Yeah, I mean, there are so many moving parts in the market, so you have to be both visionary and agile at the same time to move with the times, right? I mean, what happened in 2022, 2023, obviously shifted a lot of things as well, even though Qlik has been thinking about AI for a long time. But yeah, it's I can't think of a more exciting space to be in than what you just mentioned: AI, automation, decision intelligence, data analytics. So we're all privileged. But where do I see Qlik in the market? Well, I honestly think that we're definitely seeing sort of a shift towards centralization and large stacks. And in that world, I think that being an independent layer adding value for all of those ecosystems, and especially customers that don't want to just be locked down into one stack, is a unique position that Qlik can hold in the market. I.e., from a data perspective, we can provide that sort of important trust layer where we're directing the right workloads to the right place. We're a trusted partner for all of these large ecosystems. But also from an analytics perspective and for applications and agents, I see us being the contextual layer that agentic action trusts. So I think the trust piece is valid both for the data side, but also for the analytics side increasingly, as authenticity is one of the key themes, right? We want to make sure that agents can take the right actions and that data is correct in this world that we're in. And I see Qlik as largely increasingly orchestrators for data workloads, for agentic workloads, for AI, for execution, so that they run in the most appropriate place. And that's my view of Qlik in the market. I also think that we can add a lot of value through hybrid, with things like data sovereignty coming in. You can't always just have all of your sort of single point of failure, everything in a cloud data warehouse or lakehouse. You need to spread the risk, and hybrid is increasingly moving into, I would say, a must in many geographies, many constituents, many industries. So that's also where Qlik can play really strongly, I think.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. That's more hard what I see from other vendors, the sovereignty of data and keeping it safe within in Europe, for example. Amazing. Thank you. Igor, I believe you have question number 2.
Yes. So when you look at the market signals like worldwide, what are trends that matter versus the noise that we should ignore, in your opinion?
Yeah, so in terms of the process of looking at the signals versus noise, I think it's important to collect multiple data points, right? You want to attend multiple conferences where young people attend, maybe that are still in university, where the startups are, but also where the people with the wallets are going, So I think it's important to look at multiple different data points, look top down versus bottom up. But and that's actually really relevant to what I've been looking at this year. And I've given you, I think, a little bit of a pre-read in discussions previously. What's been preoccupying my mind this year is this inherent contradiction between centralization versus decentralization. I'm fascinated by it. And if you think about it, it's been going on for hundreds of years when it comes to politics, governance, philosophers. We're always toggling between, everything should be decentralized and agile, versus everything should be centralized for power and control. And I find that dynamic fascinating. And I think for AI now, the way it's evolving, that debate is going to come up again. Do we trust these large labs, 5, 6 vendors that do the large models to sort of run the future of AI, or will it have to be more distributed? But also, if we zoom into the enterprise, I think that's the dynamic, the eternal dynamic, right? Where you have the governance versus self-service debate that's been going on for ages. And we tend to over-rotate to, now we're going to do governance, we're going to lock everything down, we're going to have one tool, etc. And when that doesn't succeed, we tend to over-rotate the other direction. Everything has to be best of breed. So I'm fascinated by how we can sort of bridge those two, if you like, into more of a sort of a grid. And I think really tapping all of the trends. So that's a big tee up to like some of the trends I'm seeing. I'm definitely seeing centralization when it comes to vendor consolidation, right? We used to have a bunch of modern data stack vendors. Now we're consolidating to fewer tools in the industry. So that's a trend. We're seeing data sovereignty. We talked about that. That's a trend from a centralized perspective as well. And I think increasingly we're seeing control planes, i.e. like central control planes for things like data ops, FinOps, automation ops, etc. So that's a centralized trend. But then I think we increasingly see interoperability as well as a massive trend. For example, protocols over platforms. So we have emerging agentic protocols, which you may have heard of, like MCP and A2A. We have data products. Everyone talks data products, which should be interchangeable between kind of the central core versus the innovative edge and usually built in the business, right? We have semantic, everyone speaks semantic layers right now, metric stores, and sort of a common view of different definitions, increasingly as agents are also accessing analytics and data points, etc. So interoperability is a massive trend, I would say, in 2026 and 2025 and beyond, really. And then finally, how do we tap all of that innovation at the edge? You know, we're seeing from an agentic perspective, all of these task agents. It could be discovery agents, it could be data quality agents that go out and fetch stuff autonomously on our behalfs. We see vibe coding, obviously, as a huge trend as well, right? Vibe code, low code, no code. How do we tap all of that innovative energy? And I know you are big on adoption, Angelika, and both of you actually. How do we tap all of that energy and all of that innovation at the edges of our organization? Well, now there are new methods. And then finally, caching. I think caching in combination with these central data lakes, data lake houses, etc., are emerging as well, where the edge is becoming the cloud. So that was a long-winded answer to say that trends exist everywhere, centrally and decentrally, and increasingly we're seeing interoperability as well. And that's what's been preoccupying my mind for data agents, roles, and executions.
Yeah, just a comment on something that you mentioned there. You know, sometimes you go like to full service, sometimes full centralized. One thing that I like about the one of the things that I like about the Qlik platform is that it doesn't force you in one methodology in one way. Like the no code is an example. If you like do data preparation, no code, yeah, you can do with the data integration, like the Talent Cloud option, the Qlik Talent Cloud, or you can do in the analytics. Or if you like full script, you can do the Qlik, like you have the Qlik script. So you have like these different options. So then the customer doesn't have to adapt to what the platform is offering. The platform gives you the option to do whatever fits you best. So I think this is a pretty great advantage.
I think so
I agree.
too. Yeah. So, and if you look at our leaders from various organizations around the world, what do you think most leaders still misunderstand about the analytics and the AI market?
You know, I have a couple of things that sort of bug me. You know, I keep getting told that, for example, analytics is a commodity and AI will replace BI. Like those are two things that I hear quite frequently from leaders. I don't know. Do you guys hear similar things or?
Yeah, well, some people say don't bother to introduce the tool to work on dashboards or visualizations. They are dead. And I said, no, 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 no. The true power is the combination of analytics and the unstructured way, like Qlik Answer is doing. If we have that combination in place, we can ask with a natural language questions to the data, but we can also work with dashboards. So I think the true power is the combination. That's from my opinion. I don't think dashboards are dead.
No, I agree. I often, you know, for example, I increasingly think like if we just address this notion of you know, AI will replace BI, like you said, Angelika, and dashboards are dead and all of that. I think it's going to be multimodal. It's going to be from a user interface perspective. You're going to want to have natural language interfaces. You're going to want to have dashboards. And frankly, I'm increasingly intrigued that dashboards is becoming like the contextual, let's say, gold standard or platinum layer for agents. So that it's interesting. Like for many years, we thought that AI, like basically AI will improve BI, for example, through augmentation and things like that. But increasingly, I think we have to flip it on its head, where BI is also augmenting AI through becoming like the gold standard for metrics, where a dashboard can become the standard that agents go and fetch numbers at, and it's contextualized, especially with the associative engine, for what they want to achieve. So I think that is a really interesting evolution that we're exploring internally. And then analytics as a commodity. I mean, I just looked at the Gartner numbers. In 2024, analytic platforms grew 17%, which was the fastest application market of all. So if it's dying, then it's grossly exaggerated, if we put it that way. I think analytics and AI will coexist with each other in a beautiful way.
Yeah, and also I
so
see
too.
another trend that is starting to happen is in addition to something that goes a little beyond dashboards. I like the term that is called navigation systems. Basically, it doesn't only show you present and past, but shows you that's where you're going. Just like a GPS, it shows where you're going, not only where you are in different routes. And if something happens, you basically gives you like alternatives. And with the capability of AI in machine learning, we can like run simulations. Like if this continues to happen, this is the outcome. Like in 1 week, in 2 weeks, and so on. I think that's an interesting, because basically it's what you say. It's a combination of dashboards and AI that then can look a little beyond. But of course, it has to come with the explainability, because AI that is a black box, I believe it's irresponsible AI.
Yeah, it's a good analogy. When you're driving, you still have a dashboard, right? Let's see how long it lasts for.
Exactly.
And I heard Mike Capone's podcast here that he did a couple of weeks ago, and he also said that we're still doing a brisk business from imprinting and from our dashboard business, analytics business. I think this notion of it has to be one that replaces the other is something that we need to get past. We have to look at descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, prescriptive, and now perceptive with agentic increasingly. It has to be the whole spectrum, right? To your point, Igor, that it should tell you where you should navigate, but also kind of where you are right now and like the whole context around what you're doing. So.
Yeah.
Exactly. So a follow-up question. What competitive advantage, and we actually discussed some of these already, but what are the competitive advantages you think Qlik has that the market still doesn't fully understand or underestimate?
Yeah. So I know it's a cliche, but I'll say it anyway, and then we can go into other things as well. But the associative engine, of course, I would say that it has been misunderstood for so long. It's very powerful. When you see it, you understand it. But also, I think with AI, it has a chance to shine again, because you can bring out all of those different dimensions of the cube or the associative engine in way more powerful ways that you could previously as a human. So I think sort of the combination of the associative engine and AI is absolutely interesting to provide that contextualized intelligence for agents. And that is definitely something that the market is underestimating, even though it's old school. And I have to say, sometimes we go to these Qlik conferences and we see the dashboards. So now we're back to old school again that they've built. And you can't build that in any other tool. It's extremely impressive sometimes and how it runs their business. So I'm going to say that even though it's kind of old school. But if we look more broadly, I think those things that we discussed up front, trust in your data through having an integrity layer, you'd be hard pressed to find many other vendors out there that don't have vested interests because they own the data source and they want everything in their ecosystem. Whereas we're kind of vendor neutral from that perspective. We want to partner and work with all of the different ecosystems and be that trust layer. So I think that's definitely one thing that Qlik has going for it. Adaptability. When we speak about interoperability, we can adapt to all of these different ecosystems. And we're therefore investing heavily in things like Iceberg for lakehouse optimization, in MCP so that third-party agents can connect with each other. Those are all big investment areas for Qlik because interoperability is something that should sit with us as an independent vendor. And then I would say, and I think you were sort of alluding to it as well, Igor, innovation that is contextualized for its edge. We can still rapid prototype with our analytics, with our data integration. We can move data in real time. So innovation and rapid prototyping and fast time to value, especially together with our partners, right? The stuff that you guys are building is super impressive on top of Qlik, so that we provide value and innovation and contextualization for our clients. Those are all things that I think are sort of underestimated. Our ability to innovate together with partners, adaptability, and then trust.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree 100%. And on the engine, actually, we had like a recent article on the Data Voyages talking about the engine, but from a neuroscience perspective. And what is interesting that the whole concept of the engine is based on how humans make sense of information. We don't make sense of information by mathematical formula, by query. We don't naturally understand queries like SQL. It's not natural, but association is natural. That's how we learn. That's how kids learn. And guess what else? It's based on association. Advanced AI, neural networks. So when the engine was developed, like in 1993, back then, Qlik was ready to AI before AI was ready. And I think that is beautiful because when you create like a strong architecture, strong technology, you don't need to adapt to the future. You're ready. And there's a lot of things. And I mean, we kind of spoil because we work with Qlik, but when we go to customers, they have like some other technology and we migrating and stuff, and they look, yeah, no, it looks exactly like it. And you see behind the scenes, they have like a bunch of ugly queries running in every single object. So and especially they don't have we always talk about the green, white, and gray. The gray is the thing that only Qlik has it, because the non-association, the out of scope of my filter, which is query, eliminates altogether. It's such a valuable knowledge, and so it is.
The hidden insights. The hidden insights.
Exactly. And I think I think when and usually that's when I demo Qlik. That's where I start with, because you don't have it there anywhere else.
Agree.
I think that's the biggest differentiator of everything, right? Okay, so then my next question is how I look, right, from the adoption point of view and the world around me. I see trends emerging in three areas. It's the technical side, right? It's the tech stack. It's the organizational element, but it's also the people element that I see. Because to actually be successful, all three elements needs to be balanced out, right? So what distinguishes organizations that truly succeed with analytics from the ones that struggle, from your point of view, regarding the mindset of the trends?
Yeah, I think you're right on. I mean, it's people, process, technology. I think what I've seen is organizations that succeed are the ones that trust their users. But to trust your users, you need to have a layered approach. I know, Angelika, you're really big into data literacy, for example. But for some things, you might need a driver's license first, or a certificate or something like that. So it goes to perhaps some tools that you can use, but also some data sources you can only access if you've really understood some key things. And increasingly for AI is the same thing. So like a layered approach or a promotion path, where you sort of get both the agility and the system of record. Some data sources you should not let everyone access, because your CFO will go to prison if someone edits something there, right? Whereas in other aspects, you should have that trust approach where you trust your users until something goes wrong, and that's when you promote a lot of innovation in the organization. So I'm a former Gartner analyst, we always used to speak about PACE layer, systems of record, systems of differentiation, systems of innovation. And I keep coming back to that. You could hear about it when I spoke about centralization versus decentralization, tapping both of those. But also now people speak about medallion architectures, bronze, silver, gold, and now increasingly platinum as well. So I think that, if long-winded answer, if I had to sort of sum up what distinguishes organizations, is that they think in that kind of layered approach for all of them, right? Angelika, data, process, technology, like the whole piece, and people as well.
Yeah, yeah, because I truly see with the AI, still think it's too much hyped, right? The AI
Mhm.
thing, it's already here for a long time. We both, Igor and I, me from a conceptual point of view, and Igor from the technical point of view, we did a lot of AI projects in our lifetime, and still, and now we see the emerging trend that functions functions have roles, and roles will change in the coming years. I think by 2030, we should be balanced out, and the human aspect as well. It's all integrated in this role, that we need the human in the loop, right? That's the most
Yeah.
important thing, I think. But it's really emerging. The people side of working with data and AI is truly tremendously important.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to follow up on that, Igor?
Yeah, actually, I'll follow up with another question, because I think that's it's kind of related to a few things that we discussed. I've talked to many leaders in the many industries like education and healthcare and
Mhm.
finance, and a lot of them said, yeah, I'm kind of being asked about our AI, what is our AI strategy and things like that. So they always want to know what we have to offer, and how it can be implemented. So I'd like to ask you if you could give like one piece of advice to those folks, to analytics leaders that
Mhm.
navigating all of these, talk about AI, all of these AI wave. What are those, let's say, one piece of advice would be?
If I had to give one piece of advice, because people, to your point, Angelika, they're so enamored, and to your point as well, Igor, about with AI and with LLMs, is to not just look at probabilistic models. Look at like the whole suite of different AI models that exist out there. Look also at deterministic models, because the combination of both is the most powerful. And part of why organizations have struggled to realize AI value, and this is the constant question, isn't it, is that probabilistic LLMs, i.e., your chat GPT, it's not viewed as accurate enough for some of the mission critical systems. We can debate how accurate it is, but it tends to give slightly different answers every time, and that makes people uncomfortable. Whereas deterministic systems, on the other end, you have like rules engines and decision trees. They give consistent answers, but are often seen as a little bit rigid. So I think, if you can have and I think, Igor, you mentioned this earlier, it needs to be a combination where you have both. I think that would be my one piece of advice. Don't over rotate only to LLMs, because a lot of people are enamored with what LLMs can do right now. And then they get disillusioned. And that's why we're seeing this massive, like, for example, for individual productivity, the three of us, I suspect we're playing around with AI every day. I am, certainly. So from an individual productivity perspective, it's exploding. But from a corporate productivity perspective or trust perspective, it's not there, as we know. The famous stat that 95% of organizations are not seeing any value. I think to bridge that gap
Yeah.
between the 95% not getting any ROI and all of us using it, we need to have more multimodal, more sort of compound AI systems that look at both probabilistic and deterministic. And that's evolving, so that's coming. And that would be my one piece of advice.
Yeah, I think
I
I
think
like that, because it aligns to, I think, one of the most important concepts in science, which is the Occam's razor. Like, if we have two possible explanation, and let me um, adapt that concept to what we're discussing. If you have two possible solutions to a problem, usually the best one is the simplest one.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's something you can do with the like basic statistics, there's no need to add advanced AI just so you can check a to-do list like, yeah, I do have AI. Yeah, I agree. And one thing, actually, back in Lund, I was talking to Brandon Grady. We have like very interesting conversation. And one thing we discussed was like, one mistake companies do is they started adopting, implementing AI before they're ready. It's like mountain climbing. You don't just go day one from like a very inactive lifestyle and mountain
Right.
climbing. So you need to do preparation so you're ready to do that. So, and I think, yeah, uh, it's your data. You have a process for data quality. You have all of those checks boxes before then implementing AI. Otherwise, it's not. You spend a lot
Now,
of money and you're not going to succeed.
what I see nowadays as well is that you should talk only about AI literacy, but then still, data is the fuel of everything,
Exactly.
in a structured and an unstructured way. So, and when organizations, they shout within their organization, we are a AI first organization, we will talk only about AI, and then they only end up using, um, for example, Copilot to work with it, to get summarizations and so on. And that's their way to go with AI. And I think, and that's truly not what AI is about. It's broader, it's more. So I think, from my point of view, an organization needs to create that vision first. What do we want to do with AI and why and how and so on? Build that governance layer, and from there start growing your organization to truly work with AI in the broadest way. Because, as you said, I have read the not the Gartner report, but the MIT report. 91% of the AI projects fail,
Yeah.
and because there is no vision, there is no AI strategy or something. So, and from that point of view, then it will take a long time. It really will take a long time.
Yeah, it's not linked to an actual business case. Like
Nah,
it has to, like, what kind of
no,
like a problem you're trying to solve, all of that.
yeah. But thank God I still have work because of that, right? Because
You'll be
I
busy
can
for
do,
many years to come.
yeah, for many years, yeah, many years to come. So, if we look at, we talk about hypes, we talk about adoption, we talk about AI strategies and visions and so on. So, what is the one trend that everybody is hyping, but you think then is overblown?
Oh, I focus on the ones that are not overblown. So you're putting me on the pedals on the. One
That would
thing
be
I
the
hear
gray. That would
occasionally.
be the green, white, and gray. That would be the gray trend.
Yeah. Look, one thing that I see on occasion from various vendors, and maybe I'm sort of putting my foot in it here, but I'm not fully bought into analytics as audio. People show these podcasts that you can build, and you're sitting in your car and you're getting the metrics. I don't fully see that yet, because when you're in your car, you want to listen to your favorite podcast or you want to listen to music. And then when you get in front of the office, then you want to see the numbers, and then you can relate the numbers to something else. So I'm not fully bought into that kind of listening to the numbers as you're driving. I've seen several examples of that. And I know some of our partners are building it as well, but it could happen, but I'm just not seeing it today as a big thing.
No,
And then,
no, I don't think
With
so.
visual beams, like data visualization is not going away.
oh,
No,
totally. Yeah, I agree
no,
with
no.
that.
No.
Visualization
I'm glad we're
still
on the
tells a
same
thousand
pace.
words. Yeah, no, I agree 100%. You need the visual, and that's
Yeah,
part of why I think listening to numbers is not necessarily going to give you the right thing.
no,
And
no, I don't
then
think so.
quantum, sometimes I hear, oh, what do you think about quantum? Do you want to include quantum computing in trends? It's too early. But I could be wrong about that. I know that Google and IBM are making significant progress in this space, and we could be taken by surprise. But I want to talk about trends that are relevant for our customers today, and therefore I'm putting that on the back burner for a few years, I suspect.
Yeah, so, yeah, I agree.
Very good. So for our last question to finish this episode And by the way, this is one of the last episodes of the year, maybe the last one. We not 100% decided if we're going to record another one before the end of the year, or if we're gonna take a little break. But
So I may become the
uh,
Christmas podcast then that people listen to as they're getting in the
oh yeah,
festive mood. I'm
exactly.
honored.
Yeah.
So people at the end of the year, they started already planning, thinking about next year. So what can you tell us about like some of the main, and we discussed this already, but some of the main market trends for 2026 and
If I have to say like one that is affecting the competitive landscape, I would say vendor consolidation. We are absolutely seeing that some vendors want to build out like everything stores, and we're seeing a consolidation in the market. But I've been around long enough to we've seen this movie before. Again, back to that pendulum, and I think it's already shifting back. Just as sort of cloud hyperscalers are having their moment, we're already seeing smaller vendors, especially like local caching and things like that, happening at the edges. So it's always a pendulum. In the void of something else starts developing. And I think this notion of interoperability is huge. Protocols, A2A, MCP, we see payment protocols for agents. We see an agentic sort of economy evolving. So there's going to be more protocols coming, I foresee, and we're all going to speak about that. And then on a macro level, I think, two things: power, right? Energy. It's about electrons. Can we produce enough electrons for the AI? That's going to be a big discussion point. And the other one, of course, is employment, where there are different views, right? On how is this affecting employment? How are jobs changing? Those are all going to be big discussions going into 2026, I suspect.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Absolutely agree on that. I think there is a lot of changes going, but we have a Dutch saying, and I'm trying to think of it, how to explain that in English. Don't sell anything before you have some. Don't throw out your old shoes. You have to buy new ones first. And I know the things are changing, but I think AI will be our companion in the coming years. Our companion to do our work more efficiently, have more time to have discussions. And we need to work on the soft skill side, like analytical thinking, like critical thinking, like innovation thinking, like creative thinking. Those things, strategical thinking, those 5 elements AI can't do for you. AI can't do for you. So we need to, it's going to be a role shift, and continuous learning is here to stay. That's my vision for the upcoming years. Yeah.
Yeah, as they mentioned earlier, the AI hallucinate is not always precise, especially for critical missions. And one thing that I tell people, so they understand what that means, is like, think of the dumbest person you ever met. ChatGPT tells that person you are right. So that tells you a lot. So yeah, you
Yeah,
have to have the human in the loop, but we need to like elevate our analytics of thinking skills, which is it's we live in a time of transition, and we got to
totally.
Yeah.
adapt. We got to adapt.
Exactly. Totally. Yeah. So Dan, I think you have some great news to share with us. Could you please elaborate on that?
Yeah, everything we spoke about here will be consolidated in a much more articulated format, I think, from my side, which is the Trends 2026 webinar, where I'm really diving into the big macro themes, what we're seeing in society, technology, but also the 12 key trends that we've identified for 2026. And it will air on January 14th. So look for registration links, and yeah, it would be great to see you there.
Okay,
Well, that was
so
it, I think, right?
yeah,
That was fun.
We're
yeah,
there. That
so
was fun. Good
yeah, that
questions
brings
and
us to the end of the today's episode. So Dan, thank you very, very much
Thank you.
for sharing your insights, and for all of you who join us today in our today data voyages journey. Until next time, maybe it's still this year, maybe next year. And to our listeners, as we always finish our episodes, keep exploring, keep questioning, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye
See
bye.
ya.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Data